Good morning, dear children. Today we will be learning chapter 10, Disaster Management. Now, disaster is a term which we have often used and we have also learned about it in the earlier classes. And we know the definition of disaster. Disaster is any event that causes huge loss of life and property. So what is so special about this chapter here? This chapter is where you will be learning about its type in detail, what are its effects, and the most important thing is we will be learning about management, where you learn how exactly can we manage the disaster and what are the different ways in which public awareness can be brought. So let us start with the chapter. First we will look at the type of disaster. Disaster can be divided into two, natural disaster and man-made disaster. First we will look at natural disasters. The word itself is telling you the meaning. Any disaster which happens naturally or which does not have the interference of man is called as natural disaster. This can further be divided into geophysical and biological. Geophysical means which involves the physics of the earth, that includes electrical, magnetic, seismic, etc. And biological means any event that happens because of any living organism is biological. Geophysical is further divided into geological, when we are basically talking about the surface of the earth, and atmospheric means when it involves the atmosphere of the earth. And biological can be because of plant and because of animal. You'll understand this further when we will understand or when we look at the examples of this. So let's look at the examples of this. First we will look at geophysical example. All four pictures here you see is geophysical examples, but the first two, that is flood and earthquake, are examples of geological, that is when I say related to the surface of the earth, and atmospheric is cyclone and hailstorm, that is when it's related to the atmosphere of the earth. So these are examples of geophysical natural disasters. Then coming to biological. Biological, again two we learned, plant and animal. So examples can be forest fire or any kind of viral or fungal diseases of the plant. And animal is whenever any diseases are spreading because of insect bite or because of the bite of any poisonous animal, that also can be clubbed under disaster. So here we finished with half part of it, that is disaster, natural, geophysical, biological, geological, atmospheric, plant and animal. Now coming to the second type of disaster, that is man-made disaster. The word itself telling you the meaning, that is any disaster that happens because of the activities of man is called as man-made disaster. In this we have two types, unknown and international. It can also be put as intentional and non-intentional, which will help you understand this better. So let's look at the examples of this. Unintentional or unknown is the first two that you see, that is car accidents or any kind of accident. It can also include the collapsing of the bridges or anything like that. And it also has another example, that is gas leakage. We have all often heard about this. An example of this is the gas leakage, that the blast that happened in the atomic energy plant in Russia at Chernobyl, and its effect is still being experienced in the region. It's actually it was an atomic energy plant that was used for electricity. So there was a blast in that, because of which a lot of effects were there in that particular region. So these are something which is unintentional, or that is why it's called as unknown man-made disaster. And international or intentional will be war and bomb blast. Now continuously we use this definition that it is causing huge loss in life and property. But if you go to understand deeply, you will understand that the effects of disaster can actually be classified under 5 aspects. Which are the 5 aspects? We'll look at each one of it. The first is economic. Now we know whenever there is a disaster happening, there are a lot of construction or reconstruction work which has to be done, and that is why the expenditure or the expenses starts increasing. That is the economic effect of the disaster. Second is social. We know during a disaster there is collapsing of houses, bridges are collapsing, because of which there is shortage of food and water. So citizens of that particular affected area, they become stressed or they become confused. That is the social effect of the disaster. Third is environmental. In this, what happens is, during a disaster, either the water resources they dry up, otherwise they get contaminated. Contaminated means that it gets polluted because of the decomposition matter of the humans or the animals which are dead. So that can also be a reason of spreading infection, that again starts with, or that can again lead to another disaster. So that is environmental effect of the disaster. Next is political. Many a times whenever there are disasters, if in case the political leaders are not able to protect the citizens start losing trust on the government, and they may also vote out the government. So that is a political effect of the disaster. And the last one is medical. We know that the number of victims during disaster, they increase a lot, and that is why the demand for medical help or medical assistance is very high. So there is increase in the deaths and also increase in victims. So that is the medical effect of the disaster. Now, coming to the nature and scope of disaster. If you look at the disaster, we have 6 phases in this. Pre-disaster phase, warning phase, emergency phase, rehabilitation phase, recovery phase, reconstruction phase. But if you actually consider the nature and the scope, only 3 aspects are important for a common man or for common citizens. The three main phases are phase of emergency, transitional phase, and reconstruction phase. Let's look at the first one, phase of emergency. This is the phase which is when the disaster is it has occurred. This is very important phase. Why? Because maximum lives can be saved in this if in case quick actions are given. Quick actions means what? To rescue the people, to remove the people from the affected area, to make sure that they get the medical help at the appropriate time. The first aid is being given, and communication services or communication is set up between the affected people and their relatives or their loved ones. If you're able to do this and do it appropriately, then maximum lives can be saved during this phase, and that is why this phase is very, very important. That is why it's known as a phase of emergency, where quick actions are being taken. The second phase is the transitional phase. This is the phase which happens after the disaster has got over. Now once the disaster is over, there's going to be a lot of work to be done, which may include cleaning of all the debris or the waste, or clearing the area which has got affected, to make sure that the water supply has been restored, to repair the roads. And that's the main reason why it's called transitional, because there's a shift from a disaster phase to the normal life. So this is a phase where people or public are brought back to normal life again. That is why it's called as a transitional phase. And the third one is the reconstruction phase. This is the most important and the most complicated phase, and it's going to take a long time for this phase to get completed, because this is a phase where people reconstruct their buildings, they bring back all the facilities back again, they have to start from from the scratch, they have to start everything. Even farming practices are restarted during this phase. That is why it takes a long time for this phase to get completed. Now coming to disaster management. What exactly is disaster management? This is where you try to prevent the disaster, or you're making arrangements to face the disaster, and you're trying to make an attempt to minimize the loss caused because of the disaster. So what are the objectives of this? To make sure that the human life which has got affected is being disposed properly, to make sure that all the commodities reach the victims at the proper time, to restore or rehabilitate the human life, to make sure that there are measures taken to reduce the intensity of the disaster in future. Disaster management are the practices which can be done either before the disaster or it can be done after the disaster. That is why you say disaster management is of two types: pre-disaster management and post-disaster management. So first let's look at pre-disaster management. This has 4 steps in it. First is identifying the disaster prone areas, or trying to find out which are those areas which may be affected by the disaster. Second is to know about intensity of the disaster. Now this you may come to know through predictive intensity maps and hazard maps, which are normally being produced by various departments which study about disasters. Third is try to get trained or try to get prepared for a particular disaster, and whatever training you have got, you try to spread it to the other public or teach them to the other public and try to increase awareness. So these are the 4 basic steps which come under pre-disaster. Post-disaster again has 4 steps in it. First, try to provide maximum help to those who are being affected or to the victims. Try to establish help centers so that these victims can be rehabilitated. Try to categorize the materials. Now we know that whenever any disaster happens in any part of the country, the other regions, they try to send materials towards the affected part. So whatever materials have been got, you need to categorize them, maybe based on gender or based on the age of the affected victims. So that is the third step, where you're categorizing the materials which you have got. And fourth is be prepared for disaster rescue. Now this disaster management actually can be put in the form of a circle. That's called as a disaster management circle. This has 7 main aspects in it. Even though it is 7 aspects, you can actually club it into 3 or 4. Let's look at each one. Preparation, we are going to start with preparation. So we have preparation, redemption, preparedness, impact of disaster, response, resurgence and restoration. The first group is where you have preparation, redemption, preparedness. I repeat, the first group is where we have preparation, redemption, preparedness. This is where you're trying to make a plan to minimize the destruction that is caused in the disaster. You are trying to make a plan and you are going to inform about this plan to the general public, so that you try to get maximum quick response from them. So this is basically, when you have heard this, you must have understood this is before the disaster. You're trying to prepare for the disaster or for a future event. That is the first 3: preparation, redemption, preparedness. Coming to the next group, impact of disaster and response. Now, impact of disaster means you are trying to find out the intensity of the disaster. You're trying to find out how serious is this disaster, or at what level is this disaster happening. Once you understand the impact or the intensity of the disaster, automatically the response has to be proportional. That is, more serious the disaster, we need to have more quick responses and more responses coming from the public. So, impact of disaster and response need to go hand in hand, and that's the second group. The third group is resurgence and restoration. This, even though comes to be in the third group, this is one of the most important steps in the management cycle, because the more quickly we restore back to normal life, the more quickly we will be able to progress, or we will be able to bring about progress in the nation. So these steps are useful for progress of the nation and also for rehabilitation. So resurrection is actually a stage that is used for the welfare and the rehabilitation of the nation. This is a picture which gives an idea about the Disaster Management Authority. Even though this looks as a very complicated picture, but it's very simple to understand. Basically, we'll focus at the middle of the slide. We have authorities, management authorities at every level, that is national, state, district, taluka and village. But everywhere the chairman is different. So let's look at it. Prime Minister is the chairman for the National Disaster Management Authority. Chief Minister is the chairman for State Disaster Management Authority. Collector is the chairman for District Disaster Management Authority. Tahsildar is the chairman for Taluka Disaster Management Authority. Sarpanch is the chairman for Village Level Committee. On the left and the right, you will see that it's written organizations providing warning and other social or private organizations. We have various organizations, as we have already learned in the 9th standard about meteorological department. There are various departments which learn about disasters, which learn about the environment, which study about the environment and the atmosphere, and they actually can predict about various events which are coming up. So what they actually do is, once they get an idea about any disaster that is coming up, they try to warn these management committees. That is why you will see that there are 3 arrows which are moving from the left and the right towards the first 3 levels. So what are these organizations doing? They are warning the National Disaster Management Authority, State Disaster Management Authority and District Disaster Management Authority. Suppose if a disaster has taken place and the warning is being given to the National Disaster Management Authority, that's the first step. Once the National Disaster Management Authority understands about the disaster, it is its duty to inform the State Disaster Management Authority. The state will inform it to the District Disaster Management Authority. The District Disaster Management Authority will inform the Taluka Disaster Management Authority, but along with that it will also make sure to start the rescue work. That is why you will see an arrow moving towards the rescue work also. The same thing will be repeated by Taluka Disaster Management Authority. It will inform the village level committee, but along with that it will make sure that rescue work also starts. That is why arrow moves towards the rescue work also. The last one is village level committee. It has to make sure that the rescue work begins, and it should keep monitoring the rescue work also. Now, if in case a disaster has happened where no such authority were involved or no warnings were given, and what the public can do is, the public can directly start with the rescue work. It need not wait for the authorities to inform it to start the rescue work. So in any kind of condition where no warnings were given or nothing was informed before, the public has the right to start with the rescue work. But As it starts the rescue work, it also has to make sure that the disaster information is being given to the village level committee. That is why from the public two arrows are moving. One arrow goes directly to the rescue work and the second arrow is moving towards the village level committee. That is, when the public is taking the authority to bring about rescue work, it also should make sure that the village level committee is informed about the disaster. So this is how the disaster management authority works. Even though we are talking about management authorities and various systems of management, we need to know that there are forces which specifically work for disasters. We have the National Disaster Response Force, which has been established as per the Disaster Management Act 2009. There are overall 12 divisions which are working in the country. Its headquarters is in Delhi. And in Maharashtra, this force acts through the State Reserve Police Force. So we have various personnels of this force who have contributed or who are contributing in the rescue work whenever there are any kind of disasters. Now we are talking about a lot of disasters that are related to environment and all, but many a times disaster may even happen because of our own unawareness. You must have seen various symbols on certain chemical bottles. Many a times we try to ignore these symbols, and because of this ignorance we actually end up hurting ourselves. In such conditions, when personal disaster has taken place, we need to take the help of first aid. This is where we have various materials involved. We have learnt about this, and many a times even in the earlier classes we have made first aid kits also. We know what are the materials present in it. We have bandages, safety pins, thermometers, triangular bandage, scissors, antiseptic wipes, adhesive tapes, gloves, etc. So these are all the things which one needs to know at personal level also. There can be disasters made and we need to always take the help of first aid. Now, coming to the part where we are going to talk about how exactly can we bring about public awareness. The best way to bring about public awareness regarding any kind of disaster is a mock drill. A mock drill is where trained personnel, they try to bring about an apparent situation or virtual situation is created, and a demonstration of how exactly a citizen should act is shown to the people. In these pictures which are being given here, in all four pictures you will see that there are professionals or there are trained professionals of various forces which are actually who are demonstrating how they act during an actual disaster, and that is being shown to either students or to other people also. This is shown. That is why the word mock drill is being given, where mock basically shows that it is a virtual situation. These professionals, what they do is they try to show students or other people how they try to follow the steps during a disaster and how management of the disaster is done. If in case these children or the ones to whom this is demonstrated, if those people actually face the disaster, they will be able to mimic what the trained professional had shown them during that mock drill. This is one of the best ways to bring about public awareness about any kind of disaster. And because this is happening face to face, the retention or to understand how this is done becomes very simple. I hope this chapter is clear to you. It is a simple chapter, but it's very important that you read the textbook also. Thank you.